Hello friends, welcome back. If you're new here, I'm Em, and this is going to be part 2 of my full moon readathon vlog. If you missed part 1, I will link it down below. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, this is a week-long readathon that is created and hosted by emjaereads. I will link her down below. She is fantastic. Highly recommend if you haven't somehow already found her on YouTube. And this is my very first year participating, and part 1 went very well. I completed these prompts, and I have 2 and like a third, 2 1/3 prompts left to complete in the next 4-ish days. I just closed out part 1, so technically we're on day 4, but we are getting ready to leave the house. My twins and I are gonna go spend the night with my moms. We're gonna go to the county fair and have a fun Saturday night. So I don't know how much reading is going to be in the cards for me this evening, but I do have a book that I wasn't quite able to finish in part 1 that I'm really hoping to finish today if I get like little pockets of reading time here and there. So to close out, I believe it's the zombie prompt page, I need to finish A Rogue by Any Other Name by Sarah MacLean. This is a historical romance novel. It is childhood friends to lovers, which is not my favorite trope, but Sarah MacLean is one of my favorite historical romance authors. I love her writing. I love her character dynamics. I love her relationship dynamics, and I love the way she drags the heroes through the dirt to make them earn the heroine. And so I'm having a great fun time with this. I'm almost done. I'm gonna be so sad, but this has been so great to read because in my teens and my early 20s and then into my more advanced adult years, I was primarily a romance reader. That was my most read genre. And then a few years ago, I hit a little bit of a speed bump, or a big speed bump, a roadblock, if you will, and I wasn't able to read romance for at least 2 years, maybe 3 years. It's been a long time, and it just in this last year I am starting to get back into it, but I haven't really been able to get back into historical romance, which is my one true love as far as romance genre goes. So this is my first like real re-entry back into this particular subcategory, and I've missed it so much. It's so nice to be back in this kind of historical, but yet it's still a fantasy for me. Even though this is not magical in any way, shape, or form, I really view historical romance novels as a type of fantasy. It's just the way they're written. I don't know how to explain it, but that's how they feel. So going back to a genre that I've been reading for such a long time but I've enjoyed so much is really lovely and delightful. So because I'm almost done with this, I am going to take another book to my parents' house just in case like the stars align and I'm able to finish this today, and I want a book to read tomorrow morning, maybe while everybody is waking up. So since that is going to fulfill the last zombie prompt that I need, which was bring a book back to life, so something that's been on my TBR for over a year. This has been on my TBR for at least 4 years, maybe 5. One of my really good friends gifted me this whole series, and I've yet to read any of them, and this is book 1. So it has been languishing on the TBR for a while. I think I want to do the Grim Reaper prompt next and try to get all these done, because the weapon prompt, which is to read a 400+ page book, I need to start that because that is my book club book for the science fiction and fantasy book club that I lurk in. And our book for this month is Metal from Heaven by August Clark. This is August Clark's adult fantasy debut. Previously, August Clark has written YA fantasy, and I absolutely adore his YA trilogy, and I'm really excited for this. He writes really feral, queer, magical books, and I'm sure this will be no different, and I'm so excited. And it is, how many pages? I know it's over 400? 429. So I'm going to bring this in hopes that I can get it done, and then who knows, maybe I'll be able to complete the take a nap prompt tomorrow after we get home. And then I'll have to figure out what I'm going to read for involves death, because the book I was going to read for that one, I read for the creepy prompt instead. So I might, ooh, I don't know. I'm not going to predict. I have a couple choices. So I'll have to peruse, but for now, this will definitely take me a not insignificant amount of time. So for now, this is the next read. I'm gonna finish this up so I can give you my final review. I'm gonna be honest, it's feeling like a 5 right now, but I still have to finish it. That could change. It could go down to like a 4.5. We'll see how the ending goes. If there's a baby epilogue, I'll probably bump it down a little bit. And I feel like Sarah MacLean always has a baby epilogue. So we'll see. We'll see how this goes. But yeah, those are the immediate plans. But for now, let's get ready and go to the fair. It is Sunday and I am home for my sleepover. I, of course, overestimated any kind of downtime I would get while over at my parents' house. So I've just now finished A Rogue by Any Other Name and I think it's a 5. It's a 5. There was no baby epilogue, so it's a 5. I utterly adored this. It was so fun. There's so much yearning in a Sarah MacLean book, and I love A Marriage of Convenience, especially when there's yearning involved. I do think Michael is a big old dummy, but usually how it works with romance novels is I have to really like the heroine. If I'm in love with the heroine, I can kind of take or leave the hero as long as he is good enough for the heroine. So this kind of fulfilled that. I absolutely adored Penelope. I think Michael's a big old dummy, but you know, Penelope loves him and I want Penelope to be happy, so I do think not a ton happens in this book. The core plot is Penelope and Michael falling in love, and there's nothing wrong with that. I love a falling in love. I don't need like plot things to be happening. I just like seeing them together and seeing them build trust and connection and falling in love, and it's just, it's so good. So good. So that's exciting. And yeah, I'm gonna waffle between a 4.5 and a 5. I'll make up my mind later on. I'm just gonna sit with it for a while, I think, but I did think this was utterly delightful, and I'm gonna add book 2 onto my book series bingo list, because I have my bingo board, but then I also have a list of other books and series that I need to continue with. And so if I DNF a book that's on the bingo board, I get to spin a wheel and take one of those other books from the list. So I'm going to add book 2 to the list. But I did like the epilogue for this set up the next book, and I'm really excited about who the heroine is going to be for book 2. She was a minor character in this, but I really loved her, and I'm really excited for the hero in that book too. So all in all, so excited. And so of course that means I haven't started Metal from Heaven yet, and I was debating getting it on audio, but Vico Ortiz does the audiobook, and while I adore Vico Ortiz as an actor, I have listened to them narrate an audiobook before, and their voice is it's not monotone, but there's not a lot of, I don't know, there's not a lot of levels to their voice, if that makes sense. And so I find their narration to be pretty plain, and to get into an audiobook, I want it to be a performance. And when I listened to them last time, I felt like I was just being read the book and it wasn't really being performed. So I think I'm going to forego the audiobook and just read this physically, but that means I need an audiobook because I'm about to start a whole bunch of chores. So I'm going to grab my phone and we're going to take a look at that. what the other prompt is that goes along with whatever card we're on. Let me check. Okay, so I'm on the Grim Reaper, and weapon is the 400-page book, and then the other prompt is involves death. So let's see what my options are. I could, of course, start Lucky Day, because I bet there's going to be death in Lucky Day. Oh yeah, 4 years ago, an unthinkable disaster occurred. In what is later known as the low probability event, 8 million people were killed in a single day. All of them dying in improbable, bizarre ways. Oh no. And then we're following Vera, a former statistics and probability professor. And then obviously there's like a casino aspect. So we can do this. Also, it's kind of short. And I can usually listen to Chuck Tingle books at 2.5 speed. Let's see if I have any other horror audiobooks on Libro FM that I'm interested in reading. I do have all those horror books on my Kobo, but I read the first chapter of a couple of them and nothing like grabbed me right off the bat. Yeah, there's nothing. Okay, we're gonna start Lucky Day. I think that sounds like a good idea. Mara Wilson does the audiobook. I think she has done all of Chuck Tingle's books, and I really like her as an audiobook narrator. So this is what we're gonna start for that other Grim Reaper prompt, and I will come and update when I have something to tell you. But for now, I'm gonna go clean. Good morning, it's Monday and day, honestly I lost count of full moon readathon, and I do have some reading updates. Not as much as I would have liked to give you, but that's okay. I'm starting to panic a little bit that there's only 3 days left of the readathon and I still have 2 full prompt cards to go. Especially since one of those books is over 400 pages. I feel like that was a strategical error on my part. I probably should have started the 400-page book at the beginning of the readathon, but wasn't in the mood yet, and we're mood reading, so that's just how it is. But I have like 100 pages left in Lucky Day. This is not gonna be my favorite Chuck Tingle, I don't think, but Vera is our main character in this one, and at the beginning she's at this celebration brunch because her book is about to come out, and she gets in this horrible confrontation with her mom when she tries to come out to her mom, and her mom is awful about it, like absolutely horrendous. And then all these like horrific, ridiculous things start to happen. Like there's a chimpanzee in a costume killing people, there's animals running around, and like people are dying in these really like horrific but also absurd ways. And Vera is stuck in the middle of it and basically goes into survival mode. And then we fast forward 4 years, and this event that happened had happened all over the world, and it's called the low probability event, and a ton of people died in it. And Vera survived, but she has she's not really living anymore. She's surviving, but barely. And then this man named Lane, what is his job again? I always forget it. Oh, I guess he's just Special Agent Lane, but he's not, you know, it's not like he's FBI or CIA or anything like that. He's like a secret investigative branch. And he wants Vera, who was a statistics specialist, to come and help him investigate this casino in Vegas that has more luck than is logical. And so they go to Vegas to try to figure out what's going on. And I don't know how I feel about the absurdist nature of this book. because like, and also sometimes I forget that I'm reading a horror novel. The horror has been really, like, we had a really intense opening with the low probability of it, and then there's been like maybe 2 more gruesome things since then, and the sci-fi element just got introduced. So I would say it's definitely got a different tone than Camp Damascus or Bury Your Gaze. And I gave Bury Your Gaze 5 stars, and I think I gave Camp Damascus 5 stars as well. So this definitely feels different. And not, like, I like Vera, and I think it's interesting. Like, I'm really interested to see where it's gonna go, but it's not compulsively readable for me in the way those other 2 books were. Those other 2 books I finished in one day, and yes, it's only been like, it hasn't even been 24 hours and I'm almost done. It is a quick read, it is a quick listen on the audio, but it's just, I'm more like bopping along with the audiobook out of habit and having something to listen to than a need to, oh my god, I absolutely have, what's going to happen next, you know? So there's that. My youngest just woke up, so I will come back and update you about Metal from Heaven later, but wish me luck today. I think Monday and Tuesday might be the worst days of the week for me to attempt to read or vlog, because I never came back and updated y'all yesterday. And it's not Tuesday, and it's like after 1 o'clock on Tuesday. And I do have some reading progress to tell you about, but I'm also a little panicked that I'm not going to be able to complete the full readathon by tomorrow, because I am still in the middle, not even the middle, I'm still partway through a book, and there's 2 more prompts that I haven't even touched yet, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to finish anything else in this vlog. I'm really doubting my abilities, and it's compounded by Monday and Tuesday are already very busy days as far as like my work schedule and everything goes, and there's just not a lot of reading time. And then also I have been woken up in the middle of the night the last 2 nights in a row by our geriatric cat, who's having like digestive issues, which happens on a kind of regular basis just because of how she is and the age she is. And so I got woken up at 4:30 yesterday morning, and I never went back to sleep. And today I got woken up at like 2:30, and of course it took me a long time to fall back asleep. And then I had to get up early and go do my social media manager job before I went and did my actual job. I mean, they're both my actual job, but before I had to go and do my like other job, my more full-time job, and I'm really tired. And when I'm really tired like this, reading just feels like it takes so much energy, and it's not what I want to do. I also feel like if I sit down to read right now, I'm gonna fall asleep, and that will not help anything either. So it's just, I feel like the second half of this vlog has really fallen apart, but what can you do? I can tell you that I did finish Lucky Day last night. Thank goodness this is such a quick read, and I did enjoy the audio. This is not my favorite Chuck Tingle, though. I am going to give it maybe like a 3.5. And I can't really talk about what I didn't like without spoiling the book, because the thing that I didn't like is not mentioned in the synopsis. And the book that I would compare this to for the reasons why I didn't like it as much would also spoil the twist in this book. So it's just a hard book for me to talk about. But there is an element that is introduced maybe a little over halfway in that I am finding I don't really like that type of horror. Like, it's fine. I don't find it offensive. I won't not read a book because it has that element, but it's not one that I enjoy a lot. And like I kind of said earlier, there were times in this book that I forgot I was reading a horror book. It didn't feel like his other 2 books have felt, and I didn't like that. I did like our main character. I liked Vera. Her probability expert brain was a fun place to hang out in. There was very much like a government entity investigation element in this too, which I didn't like that either, especially with everything going on in the United States. I think if we had been in any other time, I don't think it would have bothered me as much, but given how government enforcement agencies are being utilized right now in the United States, it just made me more anxious and was not fun, which I think is my biggest complaint, is I didn't have very much fun with this one. And usually in a Chuck Tingle, I am highly entertained, usually really grossed out. He does have more bug stuff in this one. He really likes bug stuff in his horror, which I'm over the bug stuff in horror because I feel like I've read it a lot lately. I did like the commentary on like bisexuality and how bi people in parts of LGBTQ community aren't considered gay enough or queer enough. And so I did like the commentary on that. I like how he tackled that topic, and it kind of dovetailed really nicely because I was just listening to a podcast that I love earlier, day before, where they were talking about, they started off talking about compulsory heterosexuality, but then it kind of led into talking about how gay men could be considered like the default for queerness, and then people who are bi are maybe pushed out of the certain parts of the community because maybe people feel like they need to pick a lane. I don't feel that way, but I've been unintentionally tripping over this conversation between this and the podcast, and so I do like that conversation, that validation of like, no, you're however queer you are is queer enough, and like there shouldn't be a benchmark. As somebody, especially somebody who is like ace and bi, and both of those communities are sometimes like feel like they're edged out of queer spaces. So I did appreciate the validation in this book, but I just didn't care for the like element, the extra element that was introduced in this. I didn't find that as entertaining. I also, while I did like Vera, she did do some stuff that really frustrated me, and I had a hard time, I think, empathizing with her because just the way she chose to handle stressful situations is so far removed from how I would ever consider handling stressful situations, but it just wasn't my favorite. You know, this is how it goes sometimes. But 3.5, I'm still going to keep it because I have all of his other books, and you know, he's an auto-buy author for me, and that's just how it goes. I have not made the progress in Metal from Heaven that I wanted to make, but I do owe you kind of an update. I'm 86 pages in, and I'm still trying to find my footing with this book. We're just kind of dropped into this world, and we meet Marnie, who I think is like a child. So I'm assuming we're going to have an age jump, because this is supposed to be August Clark's adult fantasy debut, and I don't want to read adult fantasy with a teen protagonist. That's just not the headspace I'm in right now. But Marnie lives in this city, and her family works in this factory, and the material that they process in the factory has caused children who are born to people who work in this factory to have different abilities. So Marnie's mom has worked in this factory for years and years, and Marnie, because her mom was exposed to this element while she was pregnant with Marnie has hallucinations. And at the beginning of the book, the workers from this factory are going to strike to demand safer working conditions so that these hallucinations are not passed on to the children of workers. And the man that owns the factory slaughters all the striking workers instead of negotiating with them, and Marnie's the only one who escapes, and she manages to find this group of like mercenaries, I think. And so right now at page 86, she is getting used to this community of people, and it's one of those fantasy books where this is a very full world, and I have just been dropped in this world, and I am just standing with my eyes open as big as they'll get, my mouth hanging open, staring around, trying to figure out what everything is. Is this place that I'm at? And okay, we are going to have a time jump because in the synopsis it says a decade later. So we're going to get there. But since I chose not to get the audiobook for this, I am reading it slow. And I am probably, most definitely, going to finish it by the end of tomorrow. And that's okay. Sometimes that happens, but I just want to set the expectation that if you were watching this hoping for a final review, I don't think you're going to get it in this video, sadly. But I do need to pick another book because I have one card left. I have one character left, and it is The Goblin, which the two prompts for that are an ugly cover but intriguing premise. And Trickster will probably have a plot twist. So my goal is to maybe find a short book that covers both of those prompts, though I don't really read thrillers, so I don't know how easy it's gonna be to find the plot twist. I could probably double up and use Lucky Day for that one as well, which I might do. So now I kind of have to go through my ugly covers. I'm tempted to read this one because I did check it out on Libby on my Kobo, so I have the ebook, and it is pretty short. I don't know if it will have a plot twist. It might, but I definitely hate this cover. And but also have also been curious because I think this is a pandemic book, but this disease is passed through eye contact, and so society just goes around without making eye contact with people. That just sounds really intriguing for me. So I think I might try to read that since it is a lot shorter, and then just keep chipping away at Metal from Heaven so I can give you a final status at the end of tomorrow. But like I said, I'm also so tired from 2 nights of not great sleep as the cat just like naps in the sunlight in front of me, if only. There is also a prompt to check something off your to-do list, which I already did because today started registration for the new school year. So I took the twins to their school to pick up their schedules for when school starts in 2 weeks. So that is checked off the list. And I've completed all the like real life prompts. I just need to see how many of these bookish prompts I can wrap up in the next couple of days. I might check around to see if I can find an audiobook for that horror novella that I want to read, but because I think if I can get an audiobook, my chances of finishing it are a lot higher. I'll also poke around on Libby. I'll see if I can find anything else. Okay, I've been like yapping about nothing for like 12 minutes now, so I'm gonna go and try to like get some energy / get my life together / drink more water. And I will probably talk to you tomorrow because I don't think I'm gonna have anything more interesting to say today. The sun is in a less than ideal position, but there's like very few places to park in this parking lot, so it just was what it is. But hello, welcome to the last day of the full moon readathon. I woke up this morning and I thought, you know, we started this readathon with a treat, let's end with a treat. So I just did that, and I made a little bit more progress into Metal from Heaven. Definitely not going to finish it, but I will be halfway through, so that's good. But I did finish Your Shadow Half Remains this morning, and I'm not going to tell you too much because I really do think the less you know going into this book, the better it is. So all I will say is that it is a pandemic book, and the disease in this is spread through eye contact with other humans. And so this book is taking place after the pandemic's been going on for a while, and society is slowly starting to fracture, and supply trains are dwindling, but that's not really the focus of the book. The focus on the book is Riley, who has moved in to this house in a pretty isolated part of the mountains, and then discovers that she has a neighbor named Ellis. And I think that's all I'm going to tell you. It is very interesting, and really, I think, nailed the loneliness part of a pandemic, especially since this disease is a lot more forced isolation because of how quickly it spreads and how quickly it kills. That's all I'm going to tell you. But I enjoyed it and I gave it a 4. And it was very good at making me feel isolated and anxious. And yeah, so there's that. I'm liking Metal from Heaven a lot more now that I am more into it. There are a lot of characters, which I think you could see in that dramatis personae at the beginning of the book. So that is a struggle for me when there's that many characters and names are pretty loosey-goosey in this. There is like a religion or a culture. I haven't decided, or maybe like a culture that all tends to follow the same religion in this book, where they have a first name and a last name, and then their middle name is a virtue. And so some people go by their first name and some people go by their virtue name. And because of that, a lot of characters have multiple names. Or they'll change their name, or there's just a lot going on. So I kind of wish we had fewer characters because I am struggling a little bit. I've had to like flip pages back to be like, wait, who's in this scene? More than once. But I do really like August Clark's writing so much. I definitely think if you like Tamsin Muir, you would probably also like August Clark, just in terms of really unique writing style. And I don't know if it's going to be the 5 I anticipated. Now that we're getting more into the heisty parts and like Marnie is grown, and so it's already a lot more queer and heisty, and I don't know, I'm having a good time. Okay, but for now, we are at my local library because I really want to try to get that last prompt completed by the end of the day. So we're going to go in, we're going to go look at graphic novels, and we're going to look at manga, and we're going to see if I can find something that is short enough to read in one day and could possibly maybe have a twist. Not required to have a twist because the prompt is might have a twist. So let's go into the library, check it out, see what we can find. This does have to be a quick trip because I have to be back at work in 40 minutes. No, 50 minutes. I can do math. I have to be back at work in 50 minutes. So let's go and see what we can see. Library haul, and also please do not like observe how messy my car is. This is a book that my middle kid put on hold that they're gonna read, and then I ended up picking A Guest in the House. I previewed all the other ones and they just weren't quite what I was looking for. I didn't like the art style of one. Another one had like within the first couple pages like these teenage boys like peeking up the skirt of a girl at school and like looking at her underwear, and I just thought it was pervy and gross, so I didn't want to get that one. And then the other one I just was kind of meh about, so I'm gonna try this one. I also don't know if that I've read an Emily Carroll before, and I really liked the art in this. And then I got a cookbook because I'm kind of in a recipe slump again, and I really liked her when she was on Great British Bake Off. So there you go. All right, I'm off to work, and then hopefully next time I come to talk to you, it'll be to tell you about this one. I am so happy to come back with a book review and to wrap up this readathon and close out this vlog. I did finish A Guest in the House, and I'm gonna give it, I think, 4 stars, which this is, I feel like this has been like the 4-star vlog. I feel like I gave a lot of things 4 stars. Anyways, this kind of reminded me of Rebecca at the beginning because we're following this woman who has just recently married this man and has moved in with him, and he had a wife before, but she has passed away, and our main character gets a little obsessed with the former wife, and there's like a ghost element, and there was a twist at the end, and the reason it's a 4 and not a 5 is because I wanted answers and I didn't get them. So that was a little frustrating, but I really love the art. I love how Emily Carroll used color in this. It's almost all black and white, and then there are occasional pops of color, and I just thought the art was stunning, and the story was interesting. I just wanted more, but I'm glad I just read this on a whim. That's kind of fun. I don't do that a whole lot anymore, and I'm trying to get back to doing more mood reading, but yeah, it's a process. And I did not quite make it halfway in Metal from Heaven, but I'm going to continue reading this. I will have my final thoughts in my wrap-up for August, whenever that comes out, so you can hear my final review and my final rating in that, but I am really liking it so far. It feels like a 4-star, if I'm being honest, which is a little disappointing because I did have this in my head as like a 5-star prediction, but alas, it's just how it goes sometimes. But I'm gonna keep reading it. I am liking it. I am still an August Clark stan, so I'm just assuming, who knows, it could be a 5. This could be my favorite thing ever and bump it up to a 5, so I won't predict. Never mind. Forget I said that. But with that, we are going to wrap up my first ever time doing full moon readathon. I had a lot of fun. I really like prompts. I'm realizing I love it for mood reading. Having a prompt, but then getting to choose what I thought fit the prompt. I think that is about as structured as I can handle right now as far as my reading goes, which is funny because I can be so structured and type A about my reading schedule, and then other times I can swing to the polar opposite, like where I am right now, where I can't tell myself what to do. Like, I can't plan it out ahead of time. I can't make myself a TBR anymore. I just have to read what I'm in the mood for. I cannot muscle my way through a book that I'm not 100% excited for, which sometimes I can, but that's just not the phase I'm in right now, which is making it hard for me to make content because there's a lot of videos I want to make, but I have specific TBRs in mind for those videos, and my brain is just not interested in that kind of schedule. So alas, those videos will have to wait for another time, I suppose. But in the meantime, look at all that I read this week, including Your Shadow Half Remains, which I read on ebooks. I don't have a physical copy of it, but that's so good. For a week of reading, when I was in a reading slump prior to starting, I'm pretty proud of myself, if I do say so myself. But anyways, if you participated in Full Moon Readathon, I would love to hear how it went for you. If you are one of the many who is struggling through a reading slump, because I swear it's in the water. I've seen so many people on YouTube and on Bookstagram say that they are in a reading slump right now. So if you are one of those people, I'm so sorry. I hope it ends soon for you because that is not a fun place to be. And if you just want to leave an emoji to let me know you were here, oh, I feel like I did a house emoji not too long ago. What haven't I done lately? Ooh, is there a card emoji? That would be kind of fun. Leave your favorite, there's not a card emoji, but leave your favorite suit emoji because I do have spades, diamonds, hearts, and whatever the 4th suit is in the deck of cards. Because I'm drawing a giant blank and I can't remember to save my life. But so leave that in the comments down below. And like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I'll talk to y'all in the next one. Bye!